Alright everyone, so today I wanted to share with you guys a list of epics that if you have them already or if you get them in the near future, you might actually want to consider saving them until September. Now if you're wondering why September, this message here was posted by the Diamonds. Somebody in the chat asked, Morning Diamond, quick question, that massive champion rebalance, is it scheduled for the next update or the September one? Any hints of champions that will be there? And then the Diamond responded to this question with, it's planned for September. I'll get the list of champions for you closer to the update. Of course, the Diamond is an official Plarium employee. Now, to give you guys a better sense of this timeline here, the last patch that we had was the Arena Shop, the Bazaar. This was patch 2.1. Then the next patch is 2.2, and this is not the champion rebalancing patch. This is going to be next month's patch scheduled for August, and then the one after that is patch 2.3. That is the patch that is scheduled for this big champion rebalancing, and that is, of course, scheduled for September. So I wanted to go through a list of champions that is going to be high on that priority order for who's to come when it comes to rebalancing. So these champions, they're not really that great right now, but if you've got the space, you definitely want to consider saving them for the strong possibility that they are going to get buffed. So let's go ahead and start off the list here, and let's go to probably the #1 meme champion for somebody who really needs to get buffed here. And every time I pull this guy, that's the first thing that pops into my head, and it's a champion in the Skinwalkers, and that is Taurus. Now, if you guys have done shard pulls and you've seen this guy's animation, he's really big, and whenever you get him, it's usually not very exciting. It's usually, a bit of disappointment, and this guy's skill kit, it's just not really that great. So, this guy needs some serious buffs for sure, unless, of course, Plarium, wants to kind of keep him as a meme champion. You can see here, if you look at it, he's got the attacks on enemy, heals by 20% of the damage inflicted if they already have a poison. That's a strong sense of champions that don't really have a good skill kit, is if they have too many conditionals on their abilities. So you only actually get benefits for their skills if you have other things actually working. Now, sometimes it can work out really well, but in a lot of cases on this list of champions, a lot of their skills are going to have way too many conditionals that don't really make a lot of sense, or you can't actually activate them from skills that are already existing on that champion's skill kit. So has that chance of placing the weaken. And then here, this champion receives damage equal to 99% of their current HP. Wow, that's pretty crazy right there. That places unkillable. Well, that makes sense with the 99% HP. And also has an 80% chance of placing 3 poison debuffs on all enemies for 2 turns. Pretty crazy skill right there, but, honestly, with the other skills, just doesn't really work very well together. That, as well as the fact that it's attack-based, just not really that strong. So now let's move on here to #2 on the list, and let's head over to the Banner Lords for this one, and that is going to be Azure. Azure is just same thing. It's got too many conditionals here. And the other thing, too, is where do you actually get this increased speed? So if you look at his skill, attacks one enemy 2 times, places a stun debuff for 1 turn if the target has an increased speed buff. Okay, well, now we're looking for how to get that increased speed buff on the target. His second ability here doesn't actually have that, right? You've got the ally protection, you've got a shield, but we're still missing that increased speed. And then this third ability here, attacks one enemy, places an extra hit if the target has a stun debuff. This extra hit is always critical. So we can get a stun debuff, but we're kind of missing a piece of the puzzle there, because in order to get the stun debuff, we need the increased speed buff, and then in order to get the extra hit, we need the stun debuff. So you can kind of see that this guy's skill kit's kind of like a broken puzzle here. It just doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. You would need another champion in your team with the increased speed in order to really get the most out of this guy's skill kit. And, just generally speaking, he's not very strong otherwise as well. So moving along here to the next champion, we are going back to the Skinwalkers here, and that is Ripper. So the thing is, Ripper's skill kit is based a lot off of this decreases enemies' max HP. You can see this first ability right here. The second ability, damage increases as the target's HP decreases. And the third ability does ignore defense, which generally can be useful in the right circumstances. You will see higher damage on skills with that. But then you've got that second part, decreases their max HP by 30%. And honestly, decreased max HP on skills is just not very strong. It's not very competitive with a lot of other, game features that we have. So, the fact that he's also an attack-based champion with this kind of skill kit is just not really that strong. Definitely needs some serious improvement. So moving along here, going to the Lizard Men. let's go to Basilisk here. Now, Basilisk just has a super weak skill kit. I don't know how else to say it besides that. He does have an AoE on his skill 1, which is kind of nice, but it's only got that 25% increased attack, and it's only on himself. So it's the weak version of increased attack. You can get the 50% version. It's only on himself, and it's only if it's critical. So again, you got those crazy conditionals requiring you to meet certain things just in order to get the benefit of the skill. Then his second ability, attacks with an enemy, places a stun debuff for 1 turn. And he's also got a self-revive on a very long cooldown here that does place a block damage for 1 turn. But I mean, on an attack-based champion, with just that as a skill kit, definitely needs some serious improvement. So, moving along here, next up on the list is going to the Barbarians, and it's going to be Suwei Firstborn. Now, I believe she's actually a champion that you need for some fusions, so that might possibly lower the chance of her getting buffed, as maybe player feels like if they're going to use certain champions for fusions in the future, they don't need to buff them because they know you're going to try to get them for the fusions anyway. But that's just a little side note right there. Her skill kit, it's just not really super strong. It definitely needs some serious improvement. You know, you've got this, what is it? Chances of placing block buffs, 50% increased attack and crit rate only on this champion, and only if they kill an enemy. Attacks all enemies with the second hit if it's critical. Deals 6% of damage from the first hit. Will always be a normal hit. So you've got that same theme of conditionals and just kind of a very, you know, just relatively weak skills overall. Attacks an enemy before attacking has a 50% chance of placing 25% weakened debuff for 2 turns. So definitely on the list of champions that could be improved. Next up here is Sacred Order, and it's going to be Missionary. Missionary definitely looks cool. I'm not going to lie. I like his red theme with the armor, but his skill kit is just not really that great. You've got the stun here, 20%, but it only goes up to, what is that, 40%, I guess, 35 with the skill tomes, and then 5% from the mastery. Second skill here, it's got the provoke, 40% chance of placing that provoke. Then 100% if the target's, or if the champion's HP is higher than the target's HP. You know, it's just too many conditionals for not super insane skill. It does have this heal reduction here and a 30% decreased speed debuff, but, you know, overall, just not the strongest skill kit. You have to understand there's a lot of rare champions that their skill kits are just way, way better than even the epics that I'm kind of going through with all of these champions. So when you've got epics that have skill kits that are weaker than many, many rares, that's generally a problem. And I would say all these champions here are in the bottom 10 to 20% of epics that you're probably going to see people use in their teams. So moving along here, next up is the Barbarians. Jotun, not gonna lie, this guy looks really, really cool. One of my favorite, you know, artworks and models for a champion. I don't know if there's too many other champions that look similar to this guy. I really like it. His weapon is crazy, and you can still get some big hits from this guy, but he's just overall not got the craziest skill kit. He is HP based. He does have this decreased defense, but it's only the 30% version. It's only 30% chance as well, and this is kind of the big thing about him is his HP burn. You know, he's got an HP burn on his second skill. I guess you have the capacity to get some, you know, decent sized hits, and then of course this decrease the target's max HP. It's just not really that competitive with a lot of features that you'll see in other champions' skill kits. So definitely on the list of champions that could be improved. So moving along here, let's go to the Sacred Order. And next up is Bushi. Now, once again, Bushi we actually just had for a fusion. So, you know, this might not be one of the champions that they buff. Because they, you know, if they know you're going to get it for the fusion anyway, then they don't have to really make their skill kits a lot better, but still not the best skill kit right here. Attacks on enemy, damage inflicted increases each time the skill is used. So just a basic damage. Always a critical. I mean, you're probably going to be building a decent amount of crit rate anyway, so the more crit rate you have, the less usefulness you get out of a skill like that. He does have a self-revive with an unkillable, but I mean, that's it. That's all this guy really has here. A little bit of extra damage. Always a critical on an attack-based champion, so he's not even going to be that tanky. It's just not really that great compared to so many other champions out there. So moving along here. Next up, let's go to Lizardmen and Drake. Now, Drake was used for that crazy Skull Lord fusion that we had, and this is a great example of a champion that just has too many bad conditionals. Attacks an enemy, grants an extra turn, which is nice, so you've got that Relic Keeper type effect on it, but only if the target is killed. So if you can't kill a bunch of targets, then you will get extra turns, but, you know, that's really mostly, you know, for the campaign, maybe certain situations in dungeon. Attacks on enemy, if the target is less than 30% HP, the attack is always critical. But, I mean, that's not really going to happen a whole lot. They're already low on HP, so, I mean, you know, I guess you could get a little bit of usefulness out of that if you attack the clan boss at a certain time, but it's just not the best here. And then he does have decreased speed, decreased accuracy, but this is really weird because it's on all enemies except for the target, and the actual attack itself is only a single target. So the debuffs apply to everybody except for the actual target of the attack. So, you know, just kind of a weird skill kit that's not really that great. Moving along here, we got a couple more champions on this list right here, and I'm sure there are even more, but this is where I wanted to start off for today. So, let's see. Let's go to Knight Revenant. And next up on the list here is Kitus. Now, this guy, just not really that strong of a skill kit, and he's also got this weird secret skill here. Attacks all enemies 2 times, damage increases according to the amount of HP this champion has lost. But he's an attack-based champion, so he's not going to really be that survivable and tanky anyway. And this skill only actually activates when he's got 50% HP or less. Now, he has that heal reduction. He also has a increased attack buff just for himself. It's not even for your full team. It activates a critical as well if enemies have buffs, but it's a weird mix of having too many conditionals and his skill kit kind of working against his overall theme. That secret skill is just, it feels like it's not really going to get the best usefulness out of it. So, alright, moving along here, we got a couple more. Next up in the Barbarians is Woad Painted, and let's see, Woad Painted right here. HP-based champion. She has block cooldown skills, attacks 2 times, only 25% though. Reflect damage, but it's only on herself. Now, that could be like the difference between maybe making her a okay-ish champion, probably still not the best, but okay. But the fact that it's only on herself, only for 2 turns, with a 4-turn cooldown, I mean, I guess it removes debuffs and it heals her, but, you know, still just not the strongest skills. And then another block cooldown skill. Damage inflicted is proportional to this champion's max HP. Just definitely needs some work for sure. And then the last champion on this list here that I wanted to talk about is in the Lizardmen, and it's actually funny because this guy is actually a fusion that is available in-game, and that is Broadmaw. And this guy has kind of also, just like Taurus in a sense, become a meme fusion. It's not a time-limited fusion, but you can fuse him. I don't think I actually ever did. Let me double-check. I think this guy... yeah, I never even fused him because it's just not worth it. He's a Void Epic, but he's a horrible Void Epic. One of the worst ones out there, probably. So, going back to his skill kit, he's a support-based champion, so you have to keep that in mind. He's got this freeze here, 25% chance of activating, only can go up to 40% with skill books and the mastery. Then he's got this increased crit rate and increased speed, but it's only the weak version of the increased speed buff, right? 15% and not 30%. So, you know, it's a very questionable buff there as well. And the third ability here revives 2 random dead allies with 25% HP, places a block damage buff on the revived allies for 1 turn. Just kind of a weird revive right there. And the fact that this guy is not going to be doing a ton of damage, he's considered a support-based champion, you know, is just very, very weak. He absolutely needs a buff to at least one of his skills. So, kind of funny that he is a fusion champion as well. So, like I said, though, this is not a comprehensive list. We will know more details in the future. There's absolutely plenty other champions that could be buffed as well. So, please feel free to let me know in the comments section what champions do you think should be buffed in this big champion rebalancing that we are going to supposedly be getting in September. Please feel free to let me know. Let me know if you guys have any of these champions, if you've done the Broadmaw fusion as well. Really interested. I completely skipped out on it. I don't think I'm ever going to do that because there's just no point. That's how bad he is. And with that all being said, that's going to be it for the video. So I hope that you guys enjoyed. I hope that this helped out. And if it did, and you want more videos like this in the future, consider subscribing to the channel. Feel free to leave a quick like as well. It means more than you can imagine. So thank you so much to all of you guys who decided to do that. And more Raid Shadow Legends videos, guides, tutorials, and all that fun stuff should be popping up on the screen right about now. Feel free to check them out. But if not, until next time, take care, everyone. This is Salt of the Salty Guild, signing out.